Everyone, welcome back. Episode 9, Mine and Mac Podcast. Co-host, Neima Aryan. Main host, Ian McKillop. Let's go.
That's right.
Hopefully everyone had a good July 4th weekend. You and
Yeah,
I were
hopefully
not
we
in
had a
the
good
same
time.
place, but we both had great weekends. You were in
I was in Austin. Went to
Austin.
Lake Travis.
I was gonna say Lake something. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's in Austin, but
Yep.
regardless,
Lake Travis. We went with some friends, had a really good time, and yeah, I hope everybody else had a good weekend and enjoyed their time with family or friends or whatever they did.
yeah, I mean, I was at your house with your brother most of the
I
time,
know.
so
I saw that.
I was at your place, but not with you. But I had a good weekend as well. Other than my power going out on Saturday, so that was not great. That only like 5 hours, but it was like it's Houston. It's like when you kind of just sit there, it's kind
Yeah.
of warm, and so you got like 70 in the house. But other than that, it was fine. Saw the fireworks last night. I went. We didn't actually go down Parkway for the Houston fireworks. We actually stayed at Jared and Kyle's building and watched it from like I'd say afar would be would be.
Is it like really far away?
It was actually farther away than I thought it'd be. Like we were like okay, actually pretty. It was like pretty good view of the Houston skyline, and then
Yep.
you get there. I'm like oh, they're like a year away from us. We can barely see them, but we still saw them. It was pretty nice though.
Let me tell you this funny story about my thumb here.
Oh, I didn't even see the
So
thumb. Oh, what
no, it's
happened?
fine. It's really not that
Neima.
bad. It's a gash. I will say, like, I looked at it today and I was like, oh man. So last night, we were having a good time and we went out to like downtown Austin. We went to Rainy Street, like
Hmm.
Sixth Street. We went and get some drinks and stuff. At some point I was feeling pretty good and I had like a shot, okay? Like I had like two shots, okay? So I had one and I like hit the glass down and it broke. And I was like, oh, sorry. So I take the other one and I hit it down on the other one and it breaks another one. I literally broke two glasses back to back. And it was like boom, and it just cut my thumb. And I was already, under the influence. So I was just like, oh wow, that kind of hurt. And I just kind of wrapped it up. And then the next morning I was like, ooh, God. It's just like, oh my God. But when I hit that glass, when I broke it, and like literally the second one, the bartender was like, she just was like,
Sweet Jesus.
he was like, you idiot. And I'm like, I am so sorry, lady. I
Yeah,
walked away so fast.
yeah, you know what that reminds me of? I just remember
But
freshman year of college when we went to that one dude's house and I
don't even. You know about like that was our freshman year. We went to
that
that.
was our first week of
That was like
freshman
our
year of
first
college.
really like. I went to one. No, that was actually like my
I
first
think that was
party of
our
college.
first like true college experience party. Fellas,
That was a good time.
I took a big L.
Yeah,
So
that's like Ian literally like it's hard to explain. So like you're in this room and it was upstairs and everybody's having drinks, stuff like that. And there's this chair and it's sitting by this wall.
uh,
The thing is, we went to high school with two of these guys or three of these guys, and it was one of the guys who went to high school with. It was his room. So Ian, was feeling good, and he like kind of ran and jumped to the chair, and all of his force took the chair, and it literally like flew into the wall. Like I'm talking about, he literally left a dent in the wall, and then he didn't even notice at first. He just like looked at it, and he like kind of looked away, and I'm like, oh my God, and you're like, oh shit, dude. It was so funny, bro. That was how we opened up our college experience right there.
oh
Ian blowing a hole in a wall.
yeah, I'm just a
Like,
demolitionist over here.
yeah, Ian McKillop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like about
You don't
25
want to tell me
$30 in
about
damages. Man, that was 6 years ago though. So,
Oh, dude, that's so
um,
long ago.
yeah. But that you just reminded me of that one just like your force is not even knowing how much force it just slamming
No,
something.
oh God. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, get these glasses away from me before I break them more. Like, no more for me, man. Yeah,
Well,
no, I am. But no, it was a good time. But we're here for business. So,
yeah.
guys, we're gonna start this off with Volume 2 of Stranger Things Part 4.
Part 4. So I
Part-
watched this Saturday at about 8 a.m.
I got in this morning. Literally, I got in at noon,
Mm-hmm.
and I straight up just threw it on.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. I sat there for 4 hours and watched it all.
Yeah, and
It was
honestly, it
very
was
good.
incredible. Like
It was just
it was incredible.
so good. It was awesome. So let's go to the first episode. So the first episode we're left off to where this was episode 7, right
Yeah.
before it, because it
Mhm.
was 8 and 9.
Mhm.
But right before it, Nancy goes into trance. Um, you know, they Hopper and Co in Russia have kind of collected together,
Yeah.
and the other group got 11. Oh no, they didn't get 11 yet.
No.
They
Yeah.
know where the Nina project is, so they're
Mhm.
looking for the coordinates.
Yeah.
So I liked just like they go off rip, boom, and then we're there. And I keep saying this. The thing I really love about the Duffer Brothers and how they're writing this story, there's so much going on, but it's not like to the point where it's like, oh god, this is so overwhelming. I can't keep up with it.
Uh huh.
Because every group has to do something. So we
Yeah.
see off rip. Nancy's in a trance, and that group is gonna they're like, okay, we need to get weapons, we need to get supplies, we got to go back in there. Like we have to go back in there. We have to kill this guy. So then they set their whole plan up, right? Of how like phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then they're trying to find L. The other group's trying to find L,
Right.
11.
Yep.
And when Papa died, it was kind of sad. I was like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, Dr. Brenner dying. Honestly, like, I didn't think he would die this season. I thought he'd die in season 5. So I thought that how they would do it was that he would be like I guess the monster, quote unquote, in season 5. But they
Oh,
just straight up killed him off in episode 8. And I honestly was a
yeah.
bit surprised. I honestly was surprised because like
Yeah.
I thought that he would probably get arrested by the other military dudes like that. The whole military subplot. I guess it's not really as confusing. It's more of like the inside of the government. There's like different factions, I guess, and then one faction
Yeah,
hates the
that is
other.
funny to me because they're like fighting each other. Literally,
Yeah,
like government entities are literally fighting each other.
right. And so
Um,
I thought that he'd get arrested, and then he'd like convince them somehow to do the thing or do something or
yeah,
whatever.
I
Essentially.
think, yeah. Like at first, I was surprised too, but once you see that Vecna's not dead, then it's like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, no, like
Yeah, like,
at the end, I mean, I wasn't
it's like
like
a hindsight. It's
right. It's a
hindsight.
complete hindsight play, yeah.
Yeah.
And
But I do agree in that situation. I was like, oh wow, he really died in this episode. Like,
was there any thought that you thought when Nancy would die at the start of episode 8? I was half and half on it.
no, I didn't think she was gonna die because like I already had the gist of that he was pinpointing specific people, right? Like Max and the two other kids,
Percy,
that Chrissy and that other kid,
I
the
can't remember.
boy.
Yeah, I can't remember his
I
name.
can't
Yeah.
remember his name, but they were like methodically chosen.
Hmm.
It wasn't like Vecna. Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Whoever in high school knows. It was very precise who he was targeting. So whenever he got to Nancy's head, I didn't think he was going to kill her. I thought he was going to do something along the lines of what he did, of just like I didn't know he was going to show what's going to happen in the future, but I thought he was going to be like this is my upbringing, and show him just the past. So I was worried about somebody important dying, but I mean we kind of got that in the second episode.
Yeah.
But before we even get there, right? We're still on episode 8. Then we kind of got the premise already. We already talked about it a little bit. So
Hmm.
the crew, oh, even before that, 11 pretty much has her powers back. But the
Yeah.
one thing I do agree with Dr. Brenner on, and I want to ask you this,
Hmm.
because I know Dr. Brenner's he's not a good guy and he's not a bad guy. He's just a doctor that is trying to push for this thing, and and his science makes him look like the bad guy because like
Yeah.
he does like bad things in a way of like having to deal with these kids and do tests and things like that, but that's like kind of his job. But he has like a very obviously very strong connection with the kids. So um when it came to Dr. Brenner, kind of lost my train of thought here. Okay, the question I was asking, what did I start my question with? I
Well,
literally just lost.
were you thinking that like was he right that 11 wasn't ready? Maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Even though he wasn't good or bad, he in that situation, I think he was right because my thing is like, yes, like when he came down and he's like, "You don't know what we're fighting, and like we need to be prepared." And there's like, "No, I can just handle this." I agree with him because I was like, "You need to train more." Because I mean, you're going up against Vecna, and I like he even said it like we don't know where he's been, what he's been doing the last however many years he's been gone.
Yeah.
Like we don't know his power, and it's like, well, you're maybe overestimating him, and I'm like, I think so because this guy's like caused problems for 4 years now, so I think he's you
Yeah.
know
I mean, I feel like I would say she's not fully ready, but the problem is I don't think they had that she has time to really
yeah, that's
prepare
the only issue.
herself
That's
because
the only issue.
I feel like that if she didn't help Max at all, well, I mean, I guess hindsight, the world's fucked regardless. But like, Max is 1,000% dead if 11 doesn't come and help in the last second. She might
Yeah,
still be dead, but there's like a one.
100%.
There's still there is a 100% chance Max is dead, and so I think that while he's right, the situation so calls for that we don't have time to train. There's no
Exactly.
time. I got my powers back. Let's go.
I can get behind that, and they kind of did it well too because it would have been interesting if like she walked off and it was just like nothing happened, but he died anyways.
Hmm.
So he even was like, "I'm proud of you." Like pretty much like you can't do any more training at this point. Like this is it. Like you're in the end game now, and literally. So that decision, I completely agree with you. I think like she did need more training, but given what she was given, there was no time to train because she saw that her friends are literally about to go to the upside down to fight this guy.
Yeah.
So and she's their best line of defense.
Hmm.
Um, I like the plan that they came up with.
The actually, I think about the plan that I guess we can call them the Hawkins group. Really, we got the
Yeah,
Hawkins,
yeah,
we got
literally,
the we got the we got the Hawkins, we got the Russia, and we got the Las Vegas group. Let's put make those three groups. But I think the Hawkins group had a really, to be honest, not a bad idea. Honestly, like
with what?
with putting Max in Vecna's house when he was a
Yeah,
kid.
that was the I think that was the only thing they could do,
Yeah.
right? Because they were like, "Oh, we can try to maybe get him to do something else," but again, like he was very methodical with who he chose.
Right. Exactly.
So, and she knew it. Max knew it because she was like the four. She's the one that put it together, the four bells, like the four chimes,
Hmm.
and she said it's our best line of defense. I like, and I completely agree with what she did, and it really sucked that it was her. But it was like, you can't just like get someone else to do it, and you don't know that person. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're putting a random person in danger. Number one, and number two, I mean, how do you know they're going to stick with the plan? Because they don't. They've never done this,
And
right?
they don't know they don't know the situation
You don't know
at
anything
all.
about the situation, so it's like, yeah, Max, like you really have to do this because you've escaped from him once. Like
Yeah.
you kind of know your way around. So with that, I kind of knew like, okay, that's a good plan to start off of.
Hmm.
And then they really put it together well. They could communicate. The other three went down there, dude. No, we're gonna get there. Um, then we have Eddie. Um, Eddie was well, I'm trying to remember what he was doing. No, because they went down.
Eddie was a distraction
Yeah,
with the
Eddie
guitar.
was the decoy.
Hmm.
What's the other kid's name? I forget his name.
Dustin.
Dustin. Yeah, Eddie and Dustin are were the decoys, and I think that rock thing that they did was really sick.
Yeah,
Like
I'm gonna be honest. Like Eddie on the
like,
guitar, he's like I was born for this baby, and he just goes on top of the roof and just for like
like,
a straight minutes. I'm like, that was beautiful. Thank
but
you.
like then we see our heroes go in. The plan's working according to plan, but always in good stories we have very very big conflicts.
Yeah.
So conflict number one is Vecna the whole freaking time knows that they're coming.
Yeah.
He knows it. He's good. Literally,
I had a feeling that he would know what's up, but I wasn't sure if I feel like I was like he's gonna take the bait regardless, but how is he gonna respond when some shit's gonna happen, some shit's gonna go wrong with him, obviously from his
yeah,
perspective, and like then
yeah,
in this case it was 11 coming in the last second. How does he deal with that?
exactly.
And then also from the kid's perspective, um, what's I am the problem is I've been running through the show so quick. What's the basketball dude's name?
Oh,
The lead star for Hawkins High.
dude, I was literally about to ask you that because
I completely forgot his name,
I'm
but
gonna look it up.
you can look it up. But he's basically the kid's conflict because he thinks, I mean, he's convinced that the Hellfire Group obviously was behind all these like ritualistic killings. Obviously they weren't, but like so he's in the real world, messing things up for Max, and it's like
Yeah,
it's,
literally.
and so he just creates such a huge problem with them, which I honestly like. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think that's probably the
Oh, was
one
it
thing.
Jason?
It's the
No.
same Jason. I can't remember what his name is, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, in season four, I'd say he's my least favorite character
Oh God, I cannot
because like
stand him.
but like I
Oh,
think at the same
Jason.
his name's Jason. Okay, but I think at the same time he represents, I guess, Hawkins as a whole. It's like thinking that the town's cursed, and but now
Yeah,
we finally found a group to really like hone in our anger on, even though it's not true. But they can't, obviously they can't comprehend some other ethereal plane dude, some mind bending dude.
exactly.
So like
That's why.
I can
Yeah,
kind of see why they have Jason. There's kind of just as a more singular representation,
yeah,
but
exactly.
him and Lucas obviously had this huge fight in front of Max.
Dude,
Um,
that fight was insane.
that was a really good fight,
That
and
was a really good fight, and like the fact that
I thought Lucas was gonna die. Like I thought he was gonna get hit.
I for first I thought his sister was gonna get her arm broken,
Yeah.
and I'm glad she kicked that dude in the nuts. Like screw that guy. And then when he was fighting, and I was like, oh, it's not looking good. I knew Lucas was gonna be fine, but I was like, oh, they're so screwed because that guy broke the music. Jason broke the music,
Oh,
which I
I
was like,
know.
oh my god. And you can just see in Lucas's face, and he's like, oh shit, like I'm screwed because what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
When he was getting choked down, she started floating. I was like, oh
And
no.
the one thing about it is that we've seen other characters in this season have their, of course, arms broken, limbs basically like go one way and up the other, and their eyes like basically exploded in their brain or their face.
Yeah.
It was seeing Max
Hey,
being
Max
lifted,
survived that.
being lifted in the air again, and then seeing her arms and her limbs break like that, it hit a lot different. Obviously, because it's a character that we all have connected to and we all really like. But just like if it was if it was another like random high school, like oh shit, like they just got fucked up. But like seeing
Yeah.
Max, it's like what
But
the
the worst
fuck.
part for her was she survived it.
Well,
Like
so
even for a
that
little bit. I'm saying for like right off the rip when she got her foot
right,
and like landed, she's like, I can't see, like I can't feel anything. I was like, oh my god, because the other guys they just died, like they were
yeah,
gone. She had to endure it.
yeah, and like it's like that's the one thing I'm so like she's not dead though, right? Like
I think
I
I
think
think
she
she
might be.
I think she's brain dead. And the
That's
reason I think that is because at the end of the episode, right? Remember she sat there and Eleven put her hand on her and then it went to another scene.
yeah.
And then it went to the scene where she had the Coke bottle. And I think the Coke bottle is supposed to just like be remembrance of like her, like of Max and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the times that they had.
Yeah.
And once that bottle stopped and we got the flashback of what happened when she went in her brain, there was nothing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just that black plane and she kept yelling Max's name. So I think that was like figuratively saying like Max is brain dead.
Yeah, because like it was just it was just black and nothing else, as you said.
So I think because maybe they hinted this because maybe Eleven's going to use her power to bring someone else back to life later on. Because if you think about it, she did bring Max back to life, but it was too late.
Right.
Like even Lucas was like, her heart stopped for multiple minutes, and
Yeah.
then she came back to life. And if you get pretty doctory into this, then it's like you can really only live a couple minutes without brain oxygen to the brain and things like that. So I think like Elle was a little bit too late, but like brought her back to life. Like the fact that she still brought her back to life was very impressive. But it's just
Yeah.
like too little, too late. But I was very sad. Like that was so that scene. I teared up. Like when Lucas was screaming and he was, I need help. Like
Yeah.
get a doctor. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And
Yeah.
she was like, I can't feel. I can't see. I don't want to. I don't want to
Yeah.
go yet. I'm ready. I'm not ready. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, here comes the
Dude.
waterworks.
Dude, I like I can't even I was just trying to think about it because she's her limbs are broken. She's gonna essentially blind now. I'm just like it just seeing that like I actually stood up. Like I remember standing up when me, Ari, and Audrey were
Like
watching it, and I was just like I just bro
that's so
I
much.
don't want her to die, but I feel like she is though, and like
She's gone.
yeah, I think she's gone, and
Or I don't know. Maybe she comes back, but it's like she got some pretty gruesome injuries.
yeah.
Like
But we did have some mind-bending fights though. Vecna versus 11
Hector was like,
inside of Max's conscience. Yeah, and I was just I couldn't I was like it was like a layer atop another layer because it was like cuz 11 went into like basically went to Max and
piggyback,
then
bro. The piggyback.
the piggyback, right? Exactly. Like this is the name of the episode. I thought at first I was like, why are they called the piggyback? And then of course they explain why. But I thought the fight was really good inside the snowball from Max's first
Dude,
dance with Lucas.
it was so cool whenever she was about to like do that to her, and then like he literally gets flung across the room, and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, 11's here. Here we
yeah,
go.
yeah,
So then yeah, dude. So I like the Lucas and Jason fight because at the end Lucas is about to go out and he just knocks him out cold. Like he's like
yeah,
because he's like, I gotta save Max. He puts him out and he's just like, he's too late though. It's too I feel so terrible for Lucas. Cause like, dude, he and that girl dated, right?
yeah,
And then they broke up. And then she had issues with her brother, and then they kind of rekindled their relationship, and then they finally rekindled like what they had because you saw when they're writing the notes that movie Friday, and it was like, uh, she drew a picture of them holding hands or something,
yeah,
and that was just kind of a sign of like, yeah, like we're together in a way. I think it
yeah,
was just something like even if it's not like, oh, we're dating, it's like we like each other, obviously.
yeah, yeah.
So
I do like that relationship. It's very nice.
and the fact that like he like that not even like an hour later he has to watch her pretty much die in his arms. It's like now that you don't recover from, my friend. That's a broken
Yeah,
heart.
I know. That's that. Yeah, that definitely is.
Um,
But I thought yeah, Lucas and
when
Jason's
Eddie
fight was
died,
great. And then
when
I was gonna get to it. Eddie's death was a like a John
so
like basically what Jon Snow how Jon Snow would have died in Game of Thrones if he died. Like at least from my perspective. I don't think you haven't watched Game of Thrones, but for me,
yeah,
like it was like Jon Snow, pulling out his sword in the Battle of the Bastards, and then like there's like 100 horses coming at him, and it's just like I'm going out fighting, baby,
he
and
went out
and
fighting.
I honestly like
That was so
yeah
sad.
yeah I know, and for seasonal characters, a lot of shows really do. In my opinion, a really bad job of making us care about them. I've watched other shows where you have a character that's just in there for one season and then they die or something at the end, and I'm like, I don't really care about you that much because you haven't really done anything
Yeah.
significant, or like you just haven't really I just haven't really attached you to the usual gang that we have in the show. But man, they made Eddie such a great character in these 9 episodes
For
that
himself too. Perfect.
I was very upset that he died.
No, I got to hear
I did
that
not
because
think he
when he
we
was like, when he told Dustin, like, promise me, he was like, say it. And Dustin's like, no, I won't do it. And he was like, say it, Dustin, say it for me. He said, I didn't run this time, did I? And I was like, oh, that hurts so bad. That shit hurts so bad when he said that. Oh man, because he was like, I don't want to, I got to be a hero at some point. I knew he was gonna die because he was already on the run. The feds wanted him. He was in the heat of it, man. He
yeah
got in the heat of it so hard, and I just like I didn't see him making it out. But dude, like I love just like this story because then you look in Russia, right? And they're all so smart. They're all in the group. The Russia group,
mm-hmm
straight up, like Hop is saying, okay, if we can attack them, we
Yeah.
might be able to give our the kids a chance
Yeah.
because that's and they were like, oh, we need to get back to America, to America, but it's like, wait, Joyce was like, wait, if it's a hive mind, why don't we just like attack them? It was like,
Like the hive,
oh,
tap the hive, yeah.
genius.
With the because like the isn't because the shadow went inside the like I guess like dormant Demodogs and Demogorgons, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened. So like then of course Jim has like the most like badass fight with
Is
the
the
sword.
particles like the shadow? Like, what is that supposed to be? Like, what
Well, that's what
control?
I was thinking. I was like, initially I thought it was like the mind flayer in like a flask, basically, but I'm that's what I would assume it is, but I'm not entirely sure. But like it has obviously it has to do something with Vecna and the hive mind itself.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I'd have to rewatch. But I'm presuming that it has something to do with the mind flayer back in season 3 at the but so I
Yeah, because they showed when he was like when he created like I took it as the particles was him creating what he wanted
yeah
because he created the mind flare. He created it all, and they pieced it all together beautifully. And right, he said, "I just needed a way back," and 11, like you're the one that let me back in. So
yeah
and
yeah.
yeah, no, they did really good with that. What's that guy's name? It starts with an A. I don't want to butcher it. I forgot.
And Anatov, I think is what his name, the Russian dude.
Oh no. The hippie guy that
Oh,
smoked a bunch.
yeah, I can't remember his name anymore.
He's so funny to me
Yeah, I
because he
like
was
him.
like, "Hey, gnarly dudes," like literally like he's stoned and he's like, "Oh, hey, gnarly dude, like yeah."
Oh,
So
Argyle.
Argyle, and he's like, 600 pounds of salt, will that do? And they're like, "Where are you gonna get 600 pounds of salt from,
Bro,
dude?"
Argyle's the star of the show,
Yeah.
honestly.
And whenever they pulled up and he's like, "Here we go, guys. Here we go, friends." And it's like, I bet you they're at another location, that pizza freaking place.
Yeah.
Sure enough. He's like, "What's up, bro, Chacho?" And you're like, "Oh God, here we
But
go." And
then Jonathan gave him the like purple delighter where
joint.
yeah
That was so funny too, because he was like, they were obviously both stoned. So when
yeah.
he walked in there and he was like, "Hey, bro, Chacho, do you think that we could borrow 600 pounds of salt so then my little weird friend over here can go into a psychedelic state to be a superhero and save the world from an evil?" And it's
uh
like, the Stone said, like, if you're the Stone guy listening, you're like, "That's pretty gnarly, dude." And you're like, "Okay." Like, so he was like, "Oh, really? Like, okay, well, dude, I was gonna go meet my friend at Taco Bell." And I was like, "Nah, nah, get out of here." He's like, "Here you go, take the joint and go." That was so funny. Argyle came in clutch. He's like,
bro.
"You need 600 pounds of salt." We're like, Mike was like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
Crazy.
we're coming up to right to you. 10 minutes, baby.
Fucking
But
right.
also another thing. Well, remember? Okay, so I predicted that Steve would die. I was way off
Yeah,
on that, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
Steve
Crazy.
was like Michael Jordan in those last 2 episodes. I
Dude,
mean,
he literally like he was Michael Jordan. Like he was standing there, he's like, "Y'all are just the decoys. We know you're the hero, Steve." And he's like, and you're like, "Oh God, this guy's on a mission.
yeah,
He's on a
and
mission, bro."
well, a mission against Vecna and a mission to win back Nancy as well.
Yeah, I think
And
he's gonna do.
I don't see. And I was thinking about it. I was like, give my boy C some justice here. Let's go. But then at the same time, like, I really like Jonathan. Like, I honestly really like John. I know Jonathan's been kind of, I guess, somewhat sidelined this season a bit. But like, I do think that I really like his character, and always liked him and
He's
Nancy
too
together.
sidelined because like that group needs to like do what they did because they had to get L. Like
Oh no,
they
and I'm not saying he didn't do anything, but I just feel like in terms of
yeah, yeah. Compared
other
to what they
seasons, he hasn't had as much. Like him and Will haven't had as much impact this season
okay,
as
is Will gay?
yeah, Will's yeah, that 100%.
Okay, so that's when he had that rant and he started crying is because
Yeah,
he was talking about himself.
yeah. He's talking by himself
And he
100%.
likes Mike.
That's what I would assume. So
Mm.
I don't know. I'm assuming that'll be a season 5 thing, but I
I
thought
wonder
that
what
was
they're gonna
obvious.
do.
I thought
I
that was
wonder what they okay,
obvious.
so then to wrap up the last episode, Vecna pretty much got roasted because 11 kind of Mike was the heart, gave her the sweet nothings. "I love you, baby. Go save the world." I love you, Shotty. Go save the world. And then I'm the heart of the crew, baby. Go save the world for us. And then she went and did what she had to do. Took Vecna. He's like, oh, you think you have already won and stuff like that. And then they pretty much sauced him up in the under the upside down.
Two mollies and a couple of sawed off. Yeah, two mollies and a sawed off shotgun. Yeah, bro. Nancy was like doing it. I'm like, shit.
Nancy was running rip. I was like, Nancy, you're already good looking, and Nancy, you know how to work this. I was like, perfect woman right there. That's good.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if Vecna was gonna die. I thought that he might, but then again, I wasn't sure, and then of course it's revealed that he didn't die.
Yeah, because I thought so too, but the only concern I had with Vecna dying was like, if he dies, our story's pretty much over.
Yeah.
Because you can't bring another guy in to do this and that. Brenner's dead. Like, it's like they did it to the point where he survived it. I kind of like what they did because they fought him. They beat him in a way. He survived, but his plan still worked. So season 5 is going to be them pretty much saving the world now. Genuinely. Because now his plan has been executed.
Yeah.
For 4 seasons, he's been wanting to do this, and he finally did it. And it's time for those guys. They're all together now. That last scene where they're standing on that hill, and they're just like, oh, it's over, dude. The gang is back in town, dude.
The gang's back in town, but the Upside Down and the real world are basically intertwined now. Yeah. And that last scene, the last scene where they're all on that hill, and you just see the red lightning and the clouds coming. It's like, oh, sweet Jesus. Like,
oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah,
dude, it was great. Like, everything was good. Even the Russia scenes were good. Whenever they fought, like whenever he got that blade and sauced.
Yeah, when Hopper got that blade and just absolutely sauced that when he just took off him, like, that is
dude. Hopper like cannot die,
bro.
Like, he is invincible. I mean, think about season 3 when he fights that guy. You know, when he's fighting all these people and he's fighting in the carnival, and he's literally fist fighting. Like it's bears. It's like 2 bears fighting each other. He's literally like. So in this season, every time he's like, when Joyce is like, oh no, like I'm afraid, dude. Have you seen the shit that guy went through this season? He had to literally like he was in Russian prison, and then he's getting beat every day, eating pretty shitty food, if that, even if there is food to eat.
Yeah.
And then they had to go in there and fight that creature. The Dormagag, whatever it's called.
The Demogorgon, Neima.
Demogorgon. And then I knew it sounded like Demogorgon in my head, and I said Demogorgon at the end. So, the Demogorgon.
I'm sorry. It's the way you said it.
Yeah. The Demogorgon, he fought the Demogorgon the first time and had to fight him, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll go back in there. And I'm like, dude, this guy does everything. He genuinely does everything. Like, he's the heavy guns. When you need action, that guy is ready for it.
And he's lost a lot of weight now. Bro's ripped. My boy is ripped, dude. Yeah. My boy is ripped.
But I'm looking forward. I genuinely, we're gonna get one more season, and it's gonna be. I bet all of them are gonna be pretty much together, and they're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be fighting Vecna straight up now. This is no more like. We're not hiding. They're not the only ones. Now they're going to be like, okay, now they're going to be seen on the world stage. Yeah. If they die, though, now we know. Because if anybody dies, they're heroes.
Not just some, like,
Not just some kids that disappeared.
At a mall, yeah. And I think, I'm trying to think, like, how long is each episode? Like, these episodes have now, like, the last one was 2 hours and 22 minutes.
It
right?
Is long.
Like, so I'm trying to like imagine how long the episodes will be and how many episodes they'll do.
Think about how long the episode was. 2 hours and 22 minutes. I got when I was watching it, they fought Vecna. There was still like 45 minutes left after they defeated Vecna.
Yeah.
It was like what?
And I think that also a good thing is that it didn't feel drawn out as well. And
no, it wasn't drawn out. It was perfect about. Honestly, I
was perfect.
Stop watching it. It was addicting. But I'm excited to see what they do. to be honest.
2024, I'm gonna guess, right? That would be that. I think that'd be yeah. I'd say 2024. Summer 2024 is when we'll get Stranger Things 5. 2 years from now. I think that will be I think anything before that would surprise me. Anything after that, anything like if it was not in the summer of 2024 would surprise me as well. So I would say I would say like May release in 2024 and then final season. And I would assume
You
they'll
said about
probably
the age difference. What are they gonna do about the age difference?
yeah, I don't know how they're gonna age difference. I'm assuming that's what they're doing now. Is like or I don't know if they're filming in
I don't know what it's supposed
2022.
to- Like, do you think a year is gonna go by, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that.
We usually will sit here and kind of when we wrap up, we kind of give our thoughts and ideas of what will happen. But I genuinely can sit
It's
here. I genuinely just can't give you anything because
yeah,
I
it's too far in the
know
future as well. Like and
in
that's
the
the
future you just don't know what's gonna. I mean,
and
obviously Vecna's gonna die, but
right.
it's gonna be something. Something's gonna happen, and they're just very good at. You think it's one thing, and then it's like completely different, right?
Yeah.
Like we literally are like, whoa, season 5. Well, Vecna is not gonna make it through. Nah, he's still alive. So I think it's hard to gauge, but yeah, you're right. It's far in the future. We got another year.
We got another 2 years, dude. There's no way it's gonna be 2023.
They haven't even started filming it.
I don't I don't I think I remember seeing something that they haven't started filming it. So I don't know how they're gonna do how they're gonna explain because there's gonna be a time jump. I don't know how they're gonna explain it. I guess that's like the one thing that I guess semi concerns me about season 5 is like how will the world look at the start of it because it's gonna be different. It's not we're not gonna start the season off with them on the hill again. It's gonna be a year or two in the future. So I don't know how it's gonna work.
I wonder how they're gonna do that too, because I wonder how much time Vecna needs to get back to full
Yeah.
potential.
So we'll see. You know, we still got. There's still. I don't think there's any reason for predictions right now.
No,
'Cause
there's no reason. It's great.
I'll need to rewatch the show like, at least a couple more times in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I need to. I'm gonna try to watch the whole thing through maybe a couple months, and just
Yeah.
because I want to see it now all linearly now that we have those missing pieces. And because when I watched it in 2016, 2017 when it came out, it was like so like whoa, what's going on? And now it's
Mhm.
like wow, we're like we were looking
You
at
see the
pawns.
path. You see the
We were
path.
looking at yeah, we were looking at pawns in the season 1. It wasn't even like
Yeah.
we had a whole season just to integrate the upside down.
And
So
I rushed through in about a week plus until the last 2 episodes obviously. So I'll need to rewatch and like because
yeah.
you always see things better on the second play or on the second run through.
100%. That's why I want to watch again. But I
So
agree. No predictions really for season 5. It's a long ways away. We'll probably do predictions once it gets closer.
yeah.
But still, it's hard to gauge. But I think that's good on Stranger Things. I mean, we just ran 40 minutes on Stranger Things, guys.
Yeah.
So,
So all right. So okay. So we have to talk about NBA free agency
no, we have to. So
because
today we're going to talk about. We were just going to really talk about Stranger Things and NBA because we're already 40 minutes through in this one topic. So, NBA free agency was pretty freaking wild.
yeah. So it's been so obviously if you don't know, free agency for NBA started on July 1st, and you can't officially sign anyone yet, but you can agree to deals. Some NBA moratorium thing. They should just get rid of that. Just let people sign when they want to.
You just want to kind of walk through some from the top to the bottom.
I was thinking of how I want to do it, but there's a couple contracts that I don't really care about. Like we had like Zach LaVine signed a 5-year, $250 million deal with Chicago. I expected that. Brad Beal 5 years, 250. I don't think Bradley. I don't know. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying I agree. Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine. I figured they were going to get a lot of money from their teams.
Yeah.
James.
I think James. I think he hasn't signed yet because they're trying to figure out how they want to do how they want to like do their entire cap situation because Philadelphia's in a bit of a flux now.
Less money.
Yeah, I'd say he'll get about 3 years, 90. I'd say. I don't think he's gonna get the max. There's no way. He's not. To me, he's not a max player, and two, they need the cap space. So
yeah, he's not a max player. DeAndre Ayton. Still, we're looking to see what happens.
Yeah, I think he'll get traded. I feel
Here's
like
the two. It just depends on KD because my thing is like KD could go to Phoenix or Miami, but I don't think it's going to happen because Brooklyn is not just going to say, "Hey, you can give me four first rounders and a few players." No, like they want Devin Booker in that package, and on the other side they want Bam Adebayo in the package. And it's
mhm.
like
Well, so Bam cannot be traded because of his
so
rookie
then
designated
that trade.
exception.
I don't
So,
even think
so
Miami's going
yeah,
to care.
Miami does to me. Miami does not have a good enough package for KD.
No,
There's been
he's
a lot of
so
Toronto stuff going around, and I can see Toronto giving the best package, but I don't really know because they'd have to give up Scotty Barnes, and in my opinion, I just don't. The problem is that you have there's a timeline, right? And a part of me was thinking like, oh, the Rockets could like call up Brooklyn and say, hey, do you want your picks back? And we'll take Kevin Durant. But then other part of me is like, does Kevin Durant really match the timeline of the team? And for the Rockets for that to know, and for also for Toronto, like if you're gonna have to give up Scotty Barnes, and the dude Scotty
It's just not
Barnes
worth
is
it.
so he's so fucking good.
No,
He's
he's
gonna
so good. I mean,
he's gonna be a defensive guy that will give you like I could see averaging 18, 11, 11 one year with
no,
like
yeah, exactly.
incredible
I don't think
defense.
with that youth and that much skill, it's not even worth the trade
Yeah,
because
and he's 30,
KD,
he's 33, and like it's nothing against KD. I just think that all
no,
the
he just doesn't have as
teams,
many years. It's just logically, he doesn't
yeah,
have as many years as Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes could play for these guys for 20 years.
right, and I'm just not sure he fits Philadelphia's timeline on win now. So they'd have to like Philadelphia'd have to trade Tyrese Maxey, which I think that they would be willing to do because they already have Harden and Embiid. But for like other Phoenix would be an interesting team, but they'd have to give up Bridges and Aiden. And I think that Aiden might get traded, but to me, if Aiden gets traded, it's gonna be to Brooklyn because I think
Yeah, it has to
if
be.
you're Phoenix, you can't lose him for nothing. And and again, Michael Bridges is one of the best defenders in the league. They'll have to trade him as well with a lot of picks. And
Yeah,
I
for me,
I just don't know what team out there right now can really give the Nets what they want for KD. I mean, it's hard to trade for a guy like KD, right? It's Kevin
yeah, it's
Durant.
impossible. Because like, dude, we look at this shitty trade, this shitty trade with Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is not worth four players and four first round picks. And I don't even know.
I'm sorry. Can we just table the discussion now and talk about the Rudy Gobert trade? And
Yeah,
I
yes,
I
because it
so
is actually one of the worst trades I have ever seen in my life.
I think I
Ever
on
seen in my
it,
life.
yeah, I completely agree. So the Timberwolves sent Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverly, Jared Vanderbilt, who I really like by the way. I love Jared Vanderbilt.
Jay
Leandra,
Vander, like he's
he's
that guy.
good.
Even in Houston, bro.
Yeah, 22nd pick, Walker Kessler, four first round picks, three of them are unprotected. The 2029 one's top five.
So
I
you're
mean,
this is the funny part. If Rudy Go, this is my methodology. If Rudy Gobert is worth four goddamn freaking first rounders and five players, KD is he has no there's no worth.
there's
He's
he's
priceless.
he's
He's
priceless.
priceless. He
But
has to be. He's worth 10 players and 10 first rounders.
and this so one thing I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and I he and I have are the thinking the exact same way. You're now pairing Karl Anthony Towns with Rudy Gobert, and and initially you think like, oh, you've got the best offensive center in the game and the best defensive center in the game. Oh, it makes sense. Cat can shoot three, so he can play the four. But then when you look at it, what has been the one constant every single year with Utah? And it's not Rudy Gobert's fault to all the time.
It's their number one. It's their inside defense.
There, it's
Their
it's
paint
it,
defense
it's
is literally so atrocious. I'm so surprised too. You're right. It's not necessarily Rudy Gobert's fault, but at the same time, it's like Rudy for your size and your move. That's why whenever the people are
he
like,
gets us
oh, like
close.
I don't even know why they humor this Rudy Shaq thing. I don't know what like Shaq is just like a different realm. Rudy, for such a big player, he's not as good defensively as you would think.
In the playoffs. And let's
In the
emphasize in the
playoffs.
playoffs. In the regular
In the
season,
playoffs.
I can see Minnesota winning about 50 to 55 games this year because Rudy Gobert will tear it up in the inside. But when it comes to the playoffs, obviously as a Rockets fan, we've watched him play against James Harden and Chris Paul just get absolutely basically carved up every single first round. And then against the Clippers, it was just a complete embarrassment. With basically, they're just trying to find Rudy Gobert every single play and just single him out and target him all the time. And then last year or this year against Dallas, I mean, I will say that Utah's perimeter defense, especially in that first round against Dallas, was laughably horrible. And
It was
honestly,
horrible.
and that's not Rudy's fault, but like every single year, it just seems like when it comes to playoffs, Rudy Gobert just it's like you can't put him at you can't put him. It feels like he's just a liability.
You know
And
what
the
they
same
killed
with
him too?
Cat as well. Cat got
Oh
locked
my
down
god.
against Memphis. He did not play well, and
At all, dude.
he didn't play well at all. He didn't play well in the playing game. He didn't play well against Houston back in 2018. Clint Capella just completely shut him down for an entire all 5 games, and I just don't know.
I think it's like
Can you see them winning a first round playoff series? I can't honestly.
see what?
Can you see Minnesota this year winning a playoff series, or in the next 3 years? One.
No. No.
I
And you
can't.
know why I tell you that? My point was Minnesota literally shot themselves in the foot with this trade. And the reason I say that is Rudy Gobert's not a bad player, but you literally just made your team so much more one-dimensional because now you have these twin towers. They're not as good defensively playoff-wise as you would expect, right? For their stature and who they are in the league. And on top of that, like the whole offense changes now.
Yeah.
Because now this is not the same team. You add one player like Rudy Gobert, it's completely different. Because we're talking about Cat who can stretch the floor. Rudy Gobert gets killed on the pick and rolls. Gets killed. And they're going to pick and roll these guys. Cat defensively is not going to handle that. What are you going to do? Like, even though I don't like Patrick Beverly, at least he was annoying on the ball. At least he was a pest. That's gone. I genuinely, I think like D'Lo is the best player on that team, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I don't know about I don't know if it's D'Lo or Anthony. I think Anthony Edwards probably is.
I think I'll give it Anthony Edwards next year
Okay, fair enough. But I mean,
because he's young.
but yeah, but you talk about the offense. The problem is that now you have two centers, and if they
And
both
still,
if they both could shoot, that's I think it's fine. But Cat's post ups are going to be cut in half this year. You can't post them
yeah.
up because you have unless if like
Unless Rudy Gobert stretches out, and he's not going to do that.
right, and then like they bring a double team and he can lob it up to him at the rim. But the problem is that Rudy Gobert is a very limited offensive player. We've known this for his entire career. His
Very
hands are not very good offensively. His free throws are okay, but they're not great. He has no game other than dunking the ball, and you're gonna have to pay him $50+ million on the next half decade
yeah,
per
no,
year.
I'm
Excuse
telling
me.
you, I'm telling you, that trade was so stupid to me,
Yeah,
and they screwed themselves. I don't like they'll make the playoffs, but they're going
yeah.
to get annihilated
They're
first
not.
round.
I don't see them winning a playoff series.
No, they won't win.
I
And what's
don't.
gonna happen? It's going to be another failed Rudy experiment. What's going to happen is it's going to fail, and then it's going to be like, okay, what's next? Because at the end of the day, if I'm Minnesota, I would not have made that trade. I'm like, okay, I'm doing everything around Anthony Edwards. Everything around Anthony Edwards. Because that guy's your future. And then number two, like, if Cat was a better shooter, because Cat can shoot, but he's streaky. Like there are some days where he'll be hitting, and you're like, okay, he has a shot, and then the next day you're like, I don't know if Jordan Woods put you on the couch last night or what, because you don't even know how to play
Yeah,
anymore.
I mean, well, it's like that's really for me in the playoffs, and because it just seems like he hasn't performed well in the playoffs, and Rudy Gobert has not performed well in the playoffs as
Dude, that
well.
Memphis series, Cat when he was shooting the ball, think of how many clankers he had.
He was
Like
horrible.
he was horrible. And you know what? Like when I'm talking about like clankers, and when you play the game, right? And I played like when a shooter shoots and that ball comes off the rim, the ball, it's not like they know where it's going, but it doesn't fly or do anything crazy because, right, you have this certain amount of touch on the ball to where you can get maybe a rebound and it doesn't move that fast. But when you hit that, when you miss badly and you clank the front of the rim or hit the side of the rim or hit the backboard, you help the other team.
It's where someone goes like that when the ball hits the rim. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because you're like, oh, and the bad thing about that is like, it comes off the rim. If you don't have it, like they're already in transition because they can go. The ball keeps flying towards the 3-point line. Boom, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, I just remember that their transition to defense this year will probably not be very good because they have
Shit.
when you have two big guys, your transition defense will not be good. I just don't.
It was a very bad
That's
trade.
the thing. This is in the 1980s, and again, I know Cat can shoot the three, but you need spacing, and Rudy Gobert does not give you spacing on the floor.
No, I don't. I don't.
Yeah, I just don't like the trade for Minnesota. To me, it was semi desperate and giving up
I was gonna say the same thing.
four first round picks, and I'm just like Jared, like I like Jared Vanderbilt as well, dude. Like he's a good defensive player. He's a good 3-and-D
They didn't
guy.
even give him like the ability to even. I mean, they gave him some playing time, but like he didn't have anything under his belt to be like. I guess what I'm trying to say is he had a lot of potential, right?
Yeah,
Like he's young, like he's really young. Keep him in the lineup. Dude. If you can groom Jared Vanderbilt to be a stretch four that can like, be some sort of a shot creator because dude, you know what I like Jared Vanderbilt in the playoffs when they're playing Memphis, he
mhm,
has a very good basketball IQ.
yeah,
He was making the right passes. He was getting the rebounds. He was dishing the ball. And he wasn't doing anything flashy, but he was just doing his job. And I'm like, that's respectable because he's like, I'm on the floor. Like, I would see him, double team. He's like, bounce it back down to Cat. Cat would lay it up. And you're like, dude, that's a second, third-year player that hasn't even seen that much playing time, and he's making the right plays.
yeah. Again,
All you can ask for.
but now he goes to Utah, and now Utah. They have. I don't know if they'll trade. Do you think they'll trade Donovan Mitchell, or do you think they'll just try to retool around him?
Retool.
Retool. Yeah, I'm kind of with that as well. I don't see
I
it
think if
getting.
they were to trade Don, they would have like probably just waxed them both
And
in one go.
another thing I was thinking about was, could Utah maybe try to get in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes potentially? Get retrade Jared Vanderbilt, all those picks that they just got, and like I don't really I don't really think that'd happen, but to me there's a small chance that
I kind of want.
Utah would call them and be like, "Hey, you want all? We can give you all our picks, Jared Vanderbilt." And that's the thing. They don't have anything else unless you want to give up Donovan Mitchell, but that's not the point of the trade. Is you want to put Donovan and Katie on the same team. So
I'm thinking of Katie and Dame, but he's not going to win in
no,
Portland.
I don't think Portland is in a
They don't have
position.
anything to trade. You're
Yeah,
100% right, but you're 100% right.
but and
When
also
you're talking,
this. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 no. I was just saying, like, I was just piggyback off your point earlier that when you're 100% right, when players like that ask for a trade, it's way too hard to create a trade scenario that works because literally we see Rudy Gobert get all of that. So what the hell is Kevin Durant worth?
And that's what I'm
What was that?
saying.
Remember when Drew Holiday got like 3 first rounders and 3 players, and we are sitting here like, and James Harden want to be traded? It's like, okay, then James Harden's worth 8 and 8. You mean like
Yeah,
at that time, yes, like James Harden at that time. Now, not even close. But like that James Harden I was looking at, if Drew Holiday was worth 3 picks and three players, James Harden is worth double that,
yeah.
triple that.
And that's the problem. Like I forgot who I was talking to, but once I saw the trend, I'm like, well, Kevin Durant is untradeable now. Like, were you gonna ask for 7 first round picks and an all star player? Like, no one in the league has that. And like, you'd have to bring in a third and fourth team, and like, whenever you bring in I mean, 3 team trades are very rare. 14 trades don't happen. Like they just like I think I've seen 1 or 2 since I've been watching the league, and all those are just complete messes basically. And Daryl's tried to do a couple 14 trades back in the past when he was with the Rockets, and they always fall through because there's just no basis on like because everyone wants something, and the problem
100%.
is that the other teams will feel like they're just like facilitating trades more or less.
Dude, the Jalen Brunson one.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I was thinking about that, with Jalen Brunson, is that New York would maybe try to put him and maybe trade for Donovan Mitchell as well. That's why I asked you about Utah if they would want to retool or not, because I was thinking that I guarantee you New York has already called Utah and been like, hey, like how much for Donovan Mitchell, and maybe they just hung up on them. But if they really want to tear it down, because I feel in my opinion those Minnesota picks be very good picks when they come around. Maybe other than the top 5 protected one in 2029, because I don't think Utah will get that pick. I think Minnesota will get it because I don't think they'll be good. But I think those picks are gonna be really good. So maybe they could maybe just be like, oh, we'll just get rid of Donovan now and get some more picks. But
Not at that point. Maybe they will do that, but I don't know. I don't think. I think, in my opinion, I think they're going to give this experiment maybe 2 more years, 3 more years.
yeah,
Because if it doesn't work, I don't think they're going to wait as long. I think they're just going to just gun it. Because
yeah.
if they keep getting out in the first round, they're just going to say,
So,
okay,
but before we go any further, if you had to pick one team where Katie would go, where would it be?
um, it's interesting because they're talking about maybe the Warriors getting him back, but I don't
Yeah,
see it happening. Because I just think the way he left was like, it was just like it was kind of mutual, and they kind of were like, all right, this stint's kind of over. So they do have the ability to, I think, go and
they
try to make it
do.
happen. But then now you're going to give up Andrew Wiggins.
Jordan
You're going to give
Poole,
up
Jonathan
Jordan
Kuminga.
Poole. And in my opinion, not worth it at all because you just won a chip. You literally just won.
Yeah,
You won with this team. Andrew Wiggins right behind Steph Curry in that race of the MVP. And then other than that though, like those were the main ones. Uh
I'm
I don't know.
I'm gonna say Katie. I don't think he's gonna go to Miami. I might. I really want to say Utah just to be fun, but
I really wish it was Phoenix, but like it just is
I
not
don't I
happening.
don't think it's gonna be I can see Utah.
Yeah,
I
I
could
could
s-
see Utah.
I could also see the thing is about it's how desperate does Brooklyn get and how do they deal with the situation because the Rockets dealt with it as best you could with James Harden and they got basically a treasure trove of assets for James Harden because they waited and they didn't like do the bad Ben Simmons trade at the start.
How many picks did we get off that?
We got 5, 4. We got way too many picks. It's basically we basically own Brooklyn's draft capital until 2027, all
My
unprotected as
God.
well. So we have all the picks regardless of positioning in the draft. I could see I could see Brooklyn calling up Houston and asking for a reswap. But then again,
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see on who they'd ask for because if they ask for Jalen Green, it's a no. If they ask for
Oh,
Jabari Smith, it's a no. So
yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do
so
with
so I
that.
don't I don't or if they ask for Sinjud, it's probably a no as well. So to me, the only way Houston would get KD is if they basically give Brooklyn all their picks back. But again, like would would Brooklyn be willing to do that? I don't think so because they want an all-star player in return or a good player in return. But the problem is that again, three to four team trades just don't happen that much because there's so much that has to go into it.
Yeah, it's way too
And
much.
like I saw another one where it was where DeAndre Ayton would come to Houston, but we would give up assets and we like basically give Brooklyn back most of their picks, and I just don't think Ayton's worth three unprotected first round picks. Um, I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he's worth that. So I want to. I'm just gonna be fun and say Kevin Durant to Utah. I think it's a 0.001% chance that happens. But again, like something can change in a month, and but I think the one thing they'll have is like Kyrie will be traded first, and then Katie will be traded after. I don't think Katie's gonna get traded
I think
first.
that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because Katie's the best asset. Kyrie is not, in my opinion. Kyrie is a
Kyrie's
close
sucks.
to a negative asset
We
now.
already went in on Kyrie on another podcast.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about him, but I think he'll get traded first. But yeah, we can keep going down the list. Jalen Brunson going to New York for 4 years, $104 million. Good. I mean, congrats to him. He had a great playoffs. He's always been a good player, but now he's essentially the face of the franchise. Him and Julius Randle. So I'll be interested to see how that team. I don't think they're going to do that much this year. Miles Bridges will not be signed. I don't think he's going to be signed by any team after what we saw with the whole domestic abuse thing. I don't see him getting signed.
He fumbled that bag so
Yeah,
hard. I
that
cannot
was
believe he
that
did
was
that.
awful.
Dude, they were gonna give him a fat contract.
He was probably gonna get $100 million, and that's done. I
Easily.
think he's done in the league. I don't think he's gonna get signed. Anthony Simons, 4 years, $100 million to Portland.
Like that one. I like Anthony.
I like Anthony as well. Again, another good young guard that developed in Portland and is now staying in Portland. That's I guess that Portland's doing something right because Dame, CJ, and now Anthony. Obviously, Dame,
Yeah,
CJ's in there anymore, but he was there for
yeah,
almost a
keep scrolling
decade.
down there for a little bit.
Yeah, we got
Yeah, I mean everything else was like Oh wait, Gary Payton went to Portland.
Yeah, Gary Payton, 3 years, 28. Congrats to him.
Yeah,
Huge
everything
payday for
else like
him. PJ
everything else.
Tucker, I just with PJ Tucker,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
still provides that good X factor, but for 3 years, I don't think that's a really good deal in my opinion. I could see a 2 year deal with a team option on the second. I just don't know about the 3 year deal. Lou Dort getting 5 years, 85 million
I
for
didn't see that.
OKC.
I think
I
that's a good. I think it's a good
I
sign.
think that's a little too much, but I mean OKC paid Victor Oladipo $100 million, so I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
it,
yeah.
so
I mean, other than that, I don't even think there's anything other
there
noticeable.
I think
I
there
mean,
was one. John Wall to the
like,
Clippers. We already knew that was
yeah,
happening.
that was
Jay
gonna happen.
Tate, 3 years,
We
22 with the
knew that was
Rockets. Great, great.
JaVale McGee. I knew he was gonna leave.
Yeah, all these are kind of like low level
Yeah, all these at this
signings.
point, I think the main ones was just like the ones above. But yeah,
Yeah,
because these can't.
and then we could also talk about Zion Williamson as well, because Zion
Oh
Williamson
my
is
God.
signing a reporter. I think it was 5 years. It can get up to about $251 million, and I
Yeah,
honestly
I think
just
I just think that's such a bad thing to do.
it's such a to me it's such a bad contract for New Orleans. I'm just like,
Why would you pay someone that much that has
he's
played
only
like
played
20 games?
85. I mean, granted, the games he played, he was incredible, but he's only played 85 games in 3 years, and so you just
God.
you I can't I don't understand why they're giving him that much money when he's to me he's not proven that he's one committed to the franchise. Even though he said like, "Oh, I couldn't sign the deal faster." Like, yeah, the reason he couldn't sign the deal faster because we're seeing $250 million. Of course, he couldn't sign it
Yeah.
faster.
I
But
think I don't like about this is like the weight for Zion, his knees and his feet, they're gonna go out,
well,
bro.
it's just and like I he just to me needs to prove that he can stay healthy, and I don't think he can do that. So
Tell you.
he's now getting paid guaranteed dollars. And Shams was talking about it today that there is some provision in his contract that he has to stay. I think play a certain amount of games for him to get that money. But he said it was stuff that like wasn't difficult to really hit. And I
Figured.
was thinking about it like, if you're gonna give him this contract, when he plays, he averages 27 points a game. It's 27, 7, and 3. Great numbers. But if he doesn't play again, it doesn't play. It doesn't. If he doesn't play, it doesn't matter. So I think, in my opinion, if I was New Orleans, every year you play over 45 games, the contract's guaranteed. If it's not, it's half guaranteed. And I know no player would do that,
Yeah.
but like there has to be some provision in there where it saves New Orleans, because I don't
Yeah, because you had to go out a lot of money for some guy that's literally played a third of his career.
yeah, I think the contract is just not good for Zion.
No,
I mean, for Zion,
it
congratulations. Hey, you get the bag, but from New Orleans' perspective, I mean,
it's desperate.
collectively online and throughout all NBA circles, it's just like it's confusing, because I feel like if you gave him the contract next year, then you can see like, oh, he's worth this amount of money, but he hasn't played at all, and you just gave him this big deal. It's like, what? There's no basis.
Yeah, dude, because he might be injury prone the rest of his career.
Because the greatest stat, in my opinion, is not points per game, assists, if it's EFG, true shooting, none of that. It's games played. To me, that's the most important stat. If you're playing 82 games every single year for a team, you're doing something right.
You're exactly right.
Regardless of the team has won 20 games or 62,
No, you're
because
exactly right
you're
because
doing something right.
that stat, the games played stat, because you have to have a good sample size.
Durability, baby.
Durability. You can't say, "Oh, this guy's averaging this and that," and it says, "What's the sample size you're looking at?" Oh, I'm looking at 85 out of literally 240 games. Okay.
And 1 year of college.
Yeah. And you're like, well, now okay, now the sample size is not right. But then you look at like someone like LeBron, or you look at like these guys.
Right.
He's played pretty much most of his
Jokic
career.
got $300 million. To me, that he's well deserving of that. He's back-to-back MVP. He's one of
Yo,
the
dude,
one of the
numbers
greatest offensive centers ever.
just
Yeah, his numbers are incredible. He's been doing it for over half a decade now. I mean, he's incredible, and he's worth that $300 million. Brad Beal is worth that $300 million, and Zach LaVine to an extent is worth that 215. But Zion Williamson he doesn't deserve it, and New Orleans, I think, in a desperate move because obviously
They're desperate.
he's the main asset, or he's I. So no, he wasn't a pick from the Lakers, but he was basically like
Brandon Ingram deserves that.
Brandon Ingram deserves that. If they gave him $250 million, I would be okay with that.
Because
But
he deserved every penny of it. That series that they had
against Phoenix, he was cold. Absolutely cold.
Literally was in the zone.
Yeah, and him and CJ are a good pairing. And, with Zion in there, they can be a good team. But again, if Zion only plays 40 games next year, to me, you're wasting money. And you got to pay these other, you got to, Ingram, McCollum, like those guys need to get paid. And you're now basically, your cap for half a decade is destroyed. Yeah, even with the cap going up $11 million this year, which is insane, by the way, from 115 to 126, you're still paying. Oh man, was it 40% of your cap one year to one dude who has proven nothing in terms of durability in his career? I don't understand it, and I'm so confused, and there's a lot of confusing things.
Yeah,
Rudy Gobert, really the Rudy Gobert and Zion thing, but like it's these big desperate moves I've been seeing this offseason.
Yeah,
that just like
the only really pickup I really liked was Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah,
for Boston.
Malcolm Brogdon, that was a good one for Boston.
That was a good one because we needed someone like that.
You needed Boston needed an actual point guard.
We need and it's not even just actual point guard. We need a point guard that can create his own shot.
Right, exactly. I mean, Marcus Smart just can't. He just can't. It's just not him. That's okay. He's a great defensive player, but I think for
that was great. That guy.
Yeah, he's great. I really liked him when he was in Milwaukee. He's been kind of fading away in Indiana, but I mean, also fading away to Indiana. They've been kind of bad the last couple of years. So, he'll be a great pick over them. He'll have a good year, I think.
Yeah.
But all these moves just remind me of when the Rockets trade for Russell Westbrook, just complete desperation. And when it happens, it's not gonna work out. And I feel like with the Zion thing, especially the Rudy Gobert thing, it's just not gonna work out. And then when you look down 4 years, those franchises are just gonna be completely in the dirt of zero. Well, for Minnesota's perspective, zero future assets, and paying Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns over $100 million combined each year, and that doesn't include Anthony Edwards, because you're gonna have to pick in 3 years. Who is it? Cat or Ant? Cat or Ant? Which one is it? I think to me you should probably pick Ant, but we'll see obviously in a couple of years. But right now I would say it's projecting to pick Ant. And can you really justify paying 80% of your salary cap to two dudes who you probably won't win a playoff series with? Maybe one if you're lucky. So it's a lot of confusing stuff, and I'm just very confused. But Minnesota just has a new ownership group, and they want to make some big splash in their first offseason, but I think in a couple of years they'll realize that they'll
regret it.
They'll 100% regret it, and I don't think Rudy Gobert's that guy, and I don't think Zion is either. Mainly due to injuries and commitment to the team.
Zion, it's
just injuries and commitment to the team as well. So, we'll see if he requests a trade because it feels like now if you're a player you can request a trade with 4 years left in your deal. And no one bats an eye. So, and I think we haven't really talked about this, about how I am all for player empowerment, but to me there is a point to where it's actually
talked about this.
Have we?
Well, not necessarily on the podcast. I think
we talked about it off the pod a bit.
Because we agree, because it's like I agree because the player should have power, but in those situations you really screw a team.
Because they put all of their stuff on you, and then you're like, oh, I'm gone. Like in
I
like
think you should be penalized for that. Like some of your contract is taken or something because like you can't just say, "Oh, I want to trade," and then you're getting paid $250 million, and then you're like, "Oh, another team needs to pay you 250." You know what I mean? It's just like unfair. Like it's just not fair to the team. And again, it's not like everybody does that, but like if you look at when James Harden left us, um,
yeah,
I feel I
two
still
and a
feel
half, two
about
years,
James,
two plus years left on his deal.
but he
KD has 4. Ben Simmons had 4. I
didn't
mean,
carry
like,
him like goodbye, like see you later. Like it's just I don't know. I think
and
they need to do some sort of penalty.
yeah, to me there has to be something. I mean, like, again, like and it's the player's fault because they want to they want to have flex, and you want to have flexibility where you want to go. Then sign 1 year deals, because like because then if you leave in free agency,
That's why LeBron
that
does that. That's
yeah, that's why
exactly
LeBron does
why
that. That's
LeBron.
why KD did it, and there's no controversy in that because you're a free agent. You can go wherever the hell you want to go. But if someone's like, we're inking you to a 5 year, $200 million deal for you to be here for half a decade, and in 1 year, if you're upset and like, oh, I want to be traded, then you screw the entire franchise. And
100%.
it to me, it's a complete blackball of the team, and
I agree.
these players to me sometimes just get off scot free, and it kind of sucks, but that's a whole nother rant for another time. But um, yeah, I think I think Minnesota big lose this offseason. Boston's had a really good offseason. They just really need to get Malcolm
I'm excited to see
Brogdon.
next season. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, Houston's had a great offseason. Detroit has had a great offseason as well.
They have.
Yeah, they've been really good. So but yeah, that's all I got on the NBA. All I got on the NBA. I mean, I just really we had to talk about the Rudy Gobert thing.
Yeah, no, we did. That's literally what we wanted to talk about, and we
Yeah.
did. But I mean,
But
yeah, that's what I have on the NBA too. I think.
and next week is episode 10. Already 10 episodes.
Next week is episode 10.
Yeah, dude. Or already that we should make like a little cake or something. Like get like 10
Yeah, that would be
episodes.
pretty cool. We should do something kind of cool for that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll think of something, guys. You
Well,
guys have
we'll
anything?
need to get back in person. As you know, I've been trying to deal with cameras. I was very kind enough to borrow a camera from someone. Unfortunately, the camera is still having the same problem the old one did because it's a Canon camera. So
Oh,
I'm a bit in the dirt on cash right now. So we'll probably have to sell it. I'll have to like sell it on eBay or something to get some of my money
yeah.
back.
We're gonna do something like
Yeah,
that,
we'll
but
do
we're gonna
that.
get to work, guys. It's
Yeah,
just,
we'll get to work. So hopefully we're in person next week. But
yeah. Either
hope
way,
you
we're gonna have some
guys
content.
enjoyed our basically never-ending rant on NBA. Stranger Things, incredible. Can't wait till that comes out in 2 years. I can wait. There's gonna be some other any shows I can wait. NBA, of course, free agency every year. It's a 12-month sport, baby. It's a 12-month sport. It's there's no downtime now. But we'll see you guys on episode 10. Hopefully we can do something good for that. Salute, sign off. Thank you guys. Yeah, we'll do something really cool. But thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. All right. See you guys then. Bye
Guys.
bye.